Emma Johnston's inspiring journey, from reality TV star to independent woman, the 7 Little Johnstons family update. Camera pans across a quiet college campus, the autumn leaves crunching underfoot as a gentle breeze carries the scent of coffee and old books through the air. In the distance, a young woman walks with purpose, her backpack slung over one shoulder, her eyes fixed on the horizon with a determination that speaks volumes about her character. This is Emma Johnston, and if you think you know her story from the reality television show that brought her family into millions of homes across the globe, you are only scratching the surface of a much deeper, more complex narrative. For years, we watched her grow up on screen, the responsible eldest daughter of Amber and Trent Johnston, the big sister who always had a comforting word ready, the quiet force behind the family's chaotic yet undeniably beautiful dynamic. We saw her navigate the typical challenges of adolescence, but we also witnessed something far more profound, a young woman learning to carry the weight of her family's legacy while simultaneously trying to discover who she was as an individual. But what happens when the cameras stop rolling? What happens when the girl who was always known as the responsible one steps out of the shadows of her family's fame and into the glaring spotlight of her own life, her own choices, and her own future? Today, we are uncovering the real Emma Johnston, not the edited version you see on television, not the one-dimensional big sister archetype, but the real woman with her struggles, her triumphs, her heartbreaks, and her incredible journey toward independence. And we are doing it with a warmth and depth that you have never seen before, because Emma's story is not just about fame or reality television. It is about the universal human experience of finding yourself in a world that often tries to define you before you have had the chance to define yourself. Before we dive deep into Emma's world, let us take a moment to appreciate the journey that has brought her to this point. For those who may not be familiar with the Johnston family, they rose to prominence through TLC's hit series, a show that documented the everyday lives of a family where both parents and all 5 children have dwarfism. The show was groundbreaking for many reasons, but primarily because it did not focus on their physical differences as a spectacle. Instead, it showcased their ordinary, extraordinary lives as a family just like any other, dealing with sibling rivalries, school dramas, first crushes, and the universal challenges of parenting and growing up. The heart of this family was Emma, the eldest daughter, and from the very first episode she stood out not because she was loud or attention-seeking, but precisely because she was the opposite. Emma was the quiet observer, the one who would sit back, take everything in, and then offer a piece of wisdom that would leave even her parents speechless. She was the glue that held her siblings together, the mediator in arguments, the voice of reason in a household that often resembled a beautiful, loving circus. But being the eldest in a family of 7 comes with its own unique pressures and expectations, and Emma carried that weight with a grace that often went unnoticed by the casual viewer. Let us rewind the tape and truly understand what it meant to be Emma Johnston growing up. She was not just a daughter, she was a co-parent, a role model, and often a second mother to her younger siblings. She learned responsibility at a very young age, far earlier than most children her age. While other teenagers were out with friends, worrying about prom dresses or the latest social media trends, Emma was helping her parents manage the household, supporting her siblings through their own challenges, and quietly sacrificing her own needs for the sake of her family. She did it all with a smile, rarely complaining, rarely asking for recognition because that was simply who she was. But the world saw a perfect girl, and perfection, as we all know, is a very heavy crown to wear. There were countless nights when Emma would lie awake in her childhood bedroom, staring at the ceiling, wondering who she was outside of the context of her family. She loved her parents and siblings with every fiber of her being, but she often questioned her own identity, wondering who she was when the cameras were off, who she was when she was not needed to mediate or comfort or guide. This internal battle, this quiet search for identity, would become the defining struggle of her young adulthood, a struggle that millions of viewers never fully understood because it was happening behind the scenes in the moments when the cameras were not rolling. Emma's decision to go to college was a monumental moment, not just for her but for her entire family. She chose to attend a university away from home, stepping out of the familiar bubble of her family and into the intimidating, often overwhelming world of higher education. For most young adults, college is a time of exploration, of making mistakes, of finding yourself through trial and error. But for Emma, it was a far more complicated and emotionally charged journey. She was leaving behind the safety net of her parents, the constant support of her siblings, and the comfort of a home where she was understood without explanation. She was walking into a world where people did not know her as Emma from the television show. They just saw a young woman with dwarfism, and that was a terrifying and liberating experience all at once. Imagine being suddenly surrounded by thousands of people who do not know your story, who have not watched you grow up on screen, who have no context for who you are as a person. Imagine navigating a campus that was not designed with your needs in mind, where everyday tasks that others take for granted become significant challenges. Imagine having to advocate for yourself day in and day out for basic accommodations and simple understanding. Emma faced all of this with a grace that is truly inspiring and deeply humbling. She enrolled in courses that challenged her intellectually, she joined clubs that aligned with her passions, and she slowly began to build a life that was entirely her own. But it was not easy, and anyone who suggests otherwise is not telling the full story. There were moments of profound loneliness, moments when she questioned if she had made the right decision, moments when the homesickness for her family was so overwhelming that it physically hurt. She would call her mother, Amber, in the middle of the night, tears streaming down her face, wondering if she was strong enough to do this. And Amber, ever the pillar of strength, would remind her that she was a Johnston, and Johnstons do not give up. Emma pushed through the homesickness, she made friends who saw her for who she truly was beyond her height or her fame, and she began to discover parts of herself that had been dormant for years, buried under the weight of family expectations and public scrutiny. She found a genuine love for psychology, fascinated by the complexity of the human mind, and she discovered a passion for helping others that went far beyond her family's advocacy work. She realized that her empathy, her ability to listen and understand without judgment, was not just a family trait but a gift she could use to make a real, tangible difference in the world. Now, we cannot talk about Emma's journey without addressing the elephant in the room, the topic that fans are always curious about, the subject that has been documented on the show to some extent but remains deeply personal and complex: her romantic relationships. Behind the edited scenes that viewers see on television, there were real emotions, real heartbreaks, and real lessons learned. Emma has always been a hopeless romantic at heart, a dreamer who believed in fairy tales and happy endings. She dreamed of finding a partner who would see her for who she truly is, someone who would love her unconditionally, dwarfism and all, someone who would stand by her side through the challenges and celebrate her victories. But navigating the dating world with dwarfism is a uniquely challenging experience that requires vulnerability, courage, and an incredibly thick skin. Emma has faced rejection not because of who she is as a person but because of societal prejudices and deep-seated misconceptions about dwarfism. She has had to deal with people who were uncomfortable with her height, people who did not know how to interact with her, and people who simply could not see past her physical appearance to the incredible person within. But here is the beautiful part of Emma's story that often gets overlooked. She never let rejection harden her heart. Instead, she used it as fuel to become a stronger, more self-aware person. She learned, through painful experience, that her worth is not determined by who chooses to love her, but by how she chooses to love herself. She has been open and honest about her desire to find a partner, but she has also made it abundantly clear that she will not settle for anything less than she deserves. She is looking for someone who is kind, understanding, patient, and who will stand by her side through thick and thin, someone who sees her height as just one small part of a much larger, more beautiful picture. That is a standard that everyone, regardless of their physical stature, should have for themselves, and Emma has become a beacon of hope for countless viewers who are navigating their own relationship struggles. She has shown the world that you do not have to fit into a societal mold to be deserving of love, that you are deserving simply because you exist, and that the right person will see your worth without you having to prove it to them. Her vulnerability on screen has sparked important conversations about disability, dating, self-worth, and the importance of looking beyond physical appearances, conversations that are long overdue in our society. Growing up in the public eye is a double-edged sword, and Emma has felt both edges keenly throughout her life. On one hand, she has an incredible platform to inspire, educate, and advocate for change. On the other hand, she is subjected to relentless scrutiny, criticism, and judgment from millions of strangers who feel entitled to comment on her life. Every outfit she wears, every photo she posts, every word she says is dissected and analyzed by people who have never met her. We often forget that reality television stars are real people with real feelings, that they are not characters in a scripted drama but human beings navigating the same challenges as the rest of us. Comment sections of social media can be brutal, and Emma has faced her fair share of trolls who hide behind anonymous profiles to spread cruelty. There have been vicious remarks about her height, her appearance, her choices, and her life decisions, remarks that would wound anyone, regardless of their level of fame. It takes an immense amount of mental fortitude to brush off that kind of negativity, especially when you are still young and figuring out who you are as a person. But Emma has developed a powerful defense mechanism over the years, a resilience that her parents instilled in her from a very young age. She has learned to focus on the positive, to actively engage with fans who send her messages of love and support, and to let the negativity roll off her back like water on a duck's feathers. She uses her platform to educate people about dwarfism, to break down harmful stereotypes, and to promote kindness and acceptance in a world that often feels divided. She has also learned the importance of setting boundaries, of stepping away from social media when it becomes overwhelming, and of prioritizing her mental health above all else. It is a lesson that many of us could benefit from in our own lives because we live in a world that is constantly demanding our attention, our opinions, and our validation, leaving us little time for self-care and reflection. Emma has mastered the art of self-preservation, and she is not just surviving the spotlight, she is learning to thrive in it, to use it as a platform for good rather than letting it consume her. One of the most beautiful and enduring relationships in Emma's life is her bond with her mother, Amber, a relationship that has been explored on the show but runs so much deeper than what the cameras ever captured. Amber and Emma are not just mother and daughter, they are confidants, best friends, and each other's biggest supporters. Amber has always been Emma's anchor, the steady hand that guides her through the storms, the warm embrace that celebrates her victories, and the soft shoulder that catches her tears. Amber understands Emma's struggles intimately because she has lived them herself, facing the same societal prejudices, the same dating challenges, and the same desire to be seen for who she truly is beyond her physical stature. There is a moment in one of the earlier seasons where Amber looks at Emma with tears in her eyes and tells her that she is her greatest accomplishment, and you can see in her eyes that she means every single word. To Amber, Emma is not just a daughter, she is a reflection of everything she has worked so hard to build, a living testament to the power of love, resilience, and unwavering family support. Emma has inherited her mother's strength, her fierce determination, and her unwavering commitment to family, and that inheritance has served her well throughout her journey. So where is Emma headed? What does her future hold? These are questions that fans constantly ask, and the answers are incredibly exciting and full of potential. Emma has expressed a strong and genuine interest in pursuing a career in psychology or social work, fields that would allow her to help others in a meaningful way. She wants to work with people who feel marginalized or misunderstood, drawing on her own experiences to provide empathy and guidance. Her personal journey has given her a unique perspective on the challenges that people with disabilities face in a world that is not always accommodating, and she is determined to use that insight to make a positive impact. She has also shown a deep interest in advocacy, continuing the important work that her parents started years ago. She has spoken at events about dwarfism awareness, sharing her story with audiences around the world, and she has been a vocal advocate for inclusivity and representation in media. She believes that everyone deserves to see themselves reflected in the stories we tell, and she is committed to being part of that change. Emma is also passionate about mental health, a topic that is close to her heart. She has been open about her own struggles with anxiety and the immense pressures of being in the public eye, and she wants to use her voice to destigmatize mental health issues and encourage others to seek help when they need it. She knows firsthand that asking for help is not a sign of weakness but a sign of strength, and she wants to spread that message to anyone who might be struggling in silence. In short, Emma is not just a reality television star. She is a future leader, a role model, and a force to be reckoned with. A young woman who is determined to make her mark on the world in her own unique way. She has already accomplished so much, and she is just getting started. Perhaps the most significant development in Emma's life is her growing independence, the gradual but steady transition from being the eldest daughter to being a woman building her own life, making her own choices, and carving her own path. She has proven that she can stand on her own 2 feet, figuratively and literally, navigating the challenges of adulthood with the same grace and determination that she brought to her childhood. She has managed her finances, made her own medical decisions, and built a career that is separate from the family brand, a career that reflects her own passions and interests. This independence is a testament to the upbringing she received from her parents, who never coddled their children but instead taught them to be resilient, to advocate for themselves, and to never let their stature define their potential. Emma has embodied that lesson more than anyone, and she continues to inspire others to do the same. Let us take a moment to talk about dwarfism because it is impossible to separate Emma's identity from her physical stature, and understanding this condition is essential to appreciating her journey. Dwarfism is a medical condition that affects bone growth and results in an adult height of 4 feet 10 inches or under, and it is caused by a variety of genetic conditions, the most common being achondroplasia, which is what the Johnston family has. But here is the crucial point that often gets lost in the conversation. Dwarfism does not define a person. It is simply a part of their physical makeup, much like eye color or hair type, and it should not be used to limit their potential or dictate their future. However, society often treats it as a defining characteristic, leading to discrimination, ignorance, and a profound lack of understanding. Emma has been a powerful advocate for changing this narrative, using her platform to educate people and show the world that people with dwarfism live full, rich, and vibrant lives. She has spoken about the importance of accessibility, not just in physical spaces but in social and cultural spaces as well, advocating for a world where everyone is included and valued. She has been a voice for those who are often silenced, and she has done it with a grace and eloquence that is truly inspiring. No one succeeds alone, and Emma is no exception to this rule. Her support system is extraordinary, a network of love and encouragement that has sustained her through the toughest moments. Her siblings, Trent, Anna, Jonah, Elizabeth, and Alex, are her biggest cheerleaders, the people who know her best and love her anyway. They may tease each other mercilessly, as siblings do, but when it counts, they are fiercely loyal and protective, ready to defend each other against any threat. Jonah, her older brother, has always been her rock, the steady presence she can always count on. Elizabeth, her younger sister, is her partner in crime, the one who shares her secrets and her dreams. Anna is her confidant, the sister she can tell anything to without fear of judgment. The bond they share is unbreakable, a testament to the love that Amber and Trent have cultivated in their home. Emma's friends, both within the dwarfism community and outside of it, have also been a source of immense strength, providing a sense of belonging and acceptance that is invaluable. She has built a tribe of people who see her for who she truly is, not for her height or her fame, and that is a gift that cannot be measured. What can we learn from Emma's story? The answer is simple yet profound: resilience, self-love, and the power of staying true to yourself in a world that constantly tries to change you. Emma has faced challenges that most of us cannot even imagine, yet she continues to move forward with optimism and grace, refusing to let the obstacles define her. She has taught us that our differences are not weaknesses but strengths, that they are what make us unique and valuable. She has shown us that you can be vulnerable and still be strong, that asking for help is a sign of courage, not weakness. She has proven that family is not just about blood, but about the people who lift you up and love you unconditionally, the people who see your potential even when you cannot see it yourself. She has inspired thousands of people with dwarfism to dream big and to never let societal limitations dictate their future. And she has reminded us all that the most important relationship you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. As we wrap up this very special documentary, we are left with a profound sense of hope and admiration for the young woman at the center of this story. Emma Johnston is not just a reality television star. She is a survivor, an advocate, and an inspiration, a young woman who has navigated the complexities of young adulthood with a bravery that is truly rare and deeply admirable. Her future is bright, and she has the world at her feet, ready to embrace whatever comes next with open arms and an open heart. There are rumors that she is working on a book, a memoir that will delve deeper into her life experiences and provide even more insight into her journey. There is talk of her expanding her advocacy work, perhaps starting her own foundation to support others with dwarfism. And there are whispers of a new chapter in her personal life, a romance that could blossom into something beautiful. But whatever comes next, one thing is absolutely certain. Emma will face it head-on with the same determination and grace that has defined her life so far. She will continue to break down barriers, challenge stereotypes, and inspire millions around the world. She is, and will always be, a Johnston at heart, resilient, loving, and unapologetically herself. Thank you for joining us on this journey into Emma's world. We hope you have been as inspired by her story as we have, and we hope you carry her message of resilience and self-love with you long after this documentary ends. 'Cause the greatest stories are not the ones we are told but the ones we live, and Emma Johnston is living her story with courage, grace, and an unwavering commitment to being exactly who she was meant to be.